So this is my first ever invasion from several months ago with Greatsword and Thrusting Sword offhand. I am dressed up in full Narcolept the Balanced fashion. I'm not wearing the Underdark ring. Greatsword and Rapier was popularized by Narcolept, as I'm sure many of you know. Even though it has been accredited to many other content creators such as Dang It Jam and Nino the Human, originally it was very much the Narcolept's thing, popularized by him and another uploader. He doesn't upload too much, but when he does, it's quality content. By the name of Sad Little Slug, who is also very good with the setup. So this is my first ever invasion with the setup, Thrusting Sword and offhand, or mainhand Greatsword. And went pretty well.
Flawless victory.
However, for the majority of the invasions in this video, we will not be using Rapier in the offhand. We will be using estoc, because in my opinion, estoc's superior range for roll catching. I don't know about the damage difference, but you know, they're probably comparable. But more importantly, the L1 waggle exists, which is more valuable to me in 2019 than the parry. Rapier parries look super swag, and they can sometimes catch people off guard. But for the most part, I am just trying to make people panic roll. That's all I'm looking for. Just trying to roll catch that. Laggy Aldrich Faithful apparently hasn't seen the Phantom die yet. So anyway, we will be rocking estoc, not Rapier. As good as Rapier is, estoc is better for everything I am trying to do, so I roll with that. And given how laggy a lot of the game is nowadays, Rapier parries are pretty unreliable. Good old backstabs, though. Backstabs will never fail us. Actually, they fail me a lot, but that's not the point. That's more due to my own incompetence than it is to their unviability. When you see guys like G9 do backstabs consistently, that is a pretty good indicator that it's a good strategy. Here's one thing where estoc is definitely inferior to hand axe. I did not know this at the time that I uploaded my hand axe versus estoc video in terms of curved greatsword invasion PvP. You see I'm doing very little damage through his shield. That's actually because thrusting swords that are infused actually get half chip for whatever reason. So if they would normally be doing 50 damage through a shield in terms of their AR, they now only do 25. I'm not sure why that is, but for whatever reason, it's coded that way. So hand axe is much better against turtles for that reason. Anyway, here we see another genius, Aldrich Faithful. He doesn't know what the Underdark ring is. And I accidentally cast Tears twice, but it doesn't really matter because someone's gonna die. I have no real faith in the guy wearing the anime hair either, but at the same time, at least he understands what the Underdark ring is, so I decided to kill the Faithful. Poke slash. That is a true combo, and it is one of the things that makes this setup really, really good. That true combo tends to be possibly overemphasized by people who use this build. One of the things that both Sad Little Slug and Narcolept have told me is that Greatsword and Rapier is a lot more than that true combo. You need to use the full moveset, not just the one little, I'm not going to say gimmicky, but it's something about this build that not many other builds have a offhand true combo into a main hand. And given that it is rather unique, a lot of people tend to rely entirely on that instead of actually using the full range of the moveset. Roll off the ledge there and pop on the Obscuring Ring and wait for a Co-invader, because I am not going to engage a 3-man gank with a laggy Gundir's halberd involved. But we get a Co-invader and we reinitiate. Part of the reason why, as of late, I have swapped to estoc from hand axe, which is what I normally was pairing with a greatsword, is because, as of late, if I run in people's face with hand axe and greatsword, people are very much inclined to just, like, hit me, contest, and then I take damage for no reason. So my adaptation that I'm trying to make is essentially make it seem like I'm going to run in their face, and then actually back off, bait out swings with forward movement, and then end up trying to space out their R1 spam. And estoc is a lot better at spacing than hand axes, due to its increased range. So, estoc seemed like the natural call. Plus, this will provide me an opportunity to get good with this setup. Are you looking for a scenic vacation spot? Come check out Gank City with its terrible spawn points today. Yeah, Gank City's spawn points are kind of shit. Sometimes it spawns you just in the middle of the gank for no reason, and that's about all I'll say on that topic. Yeah, but we need to come back up here and save our Co-invader, who we ditched to die alone by rolling off the ledge there. I want to highlight the importance of taking out the mage. Mage is easily the most dangerous member of the gank. Even if they don't do a lot of damage, they have the potential to stun you from a million miles away, which is super fun and balanced. But, anyway. See, there's an instance. I should have tried to space out that R1 spam instead of just trying to run in his face and expecting him to panic roll. Gankers have at least learned that sometimes you have to press R1 to get someone off you, instead of just, you know, panic rolling forever and relying on Dark Souls 3's insane rolls to save you. But at the same time, Dark Souls 3's insane rolls often benefit invaders much more than they do gankers. Instance number 1 of this is right there, where panic rolling essentially saved me from getting blendered even harder. So anyway, we are back on the mage. We do not want him to cast. I would much rather fight a straight sword in a gank than a light rolling mage. Our Co-invader doesn't understand this. He's trying to roll catch the mage with an ultra great sword. Luckily for me, still managed to kill him, but I'm just saying it would have been even more efficient if you had perhaps occupied the host while I was actually doing something. Normally I would reapply tears immediately, but I just wanted to make sure that he was actually going back to Pontiff's Porch to resummon, and not like gonna run through the level eternally. He goes for a few bad pivot backstab attempts and various crits with his dagger, and then he gets destroyed by the red gank for once. For once, hit stun is on our side, and his friend is not happy. Something that I hinted at earlier when I said something about using the full moveset is that you often want to two-hand your greatsword. Two-handed greatswords are probably one of the most, if not the most, difficult weapon class to pressure in this entire game. Which means that for invasions where people tend to run at you and press R1 a lot, an ultra defensive class like a two-handed greatsword is a really, really good option. Just because you have the offhand thrusting sword available does not mean that it is always the right call to use. Even in a 1v1 matchup, where someone is playing extremely passively, two-handed greatsword can still work out. Especially if the matchup is against, like, a split leaf, for example, which we have 2 of in this invasion. Greatsword versus halberd is a much better matchup than thrusting sword versus halberd is. Greatsword doesn't require you to win that incredibly delicate spacing game that would be going on if you were fighting with a thrusting sword against a glaive. And it allows you a little bit of breathing room, something that you don't have to, you know, hyper-focus on just to get one hit in. Yeah, thrusting sword is going to be better at pressure than a greatsword is, but at the same time, you don't necessarily need pressure that much. Man, that was a wonky instance. We just could not hit each other at all. This dude gets caught in a bit of roll catch hell, but luckily gets that latent I get to escape the roll catch for free thing, which always happens to occur on the last roll catch that would actually kill him. But he gets chased down with a Dark Plow anyway. Dark Mask users pay the price. You don't get all that extra damage for free. Just a quick shout out to the Reddit user who told me that casting was not underwhelming at all in a 1v1. And that it was 100% as viable as melee was for literally everyone. Doesn't require any extreme level of talent at all. Yep, for sure. Casting is just as good as melee. An additional quick shout out to the guy who told me that magic was not overpowered in a gank at all. the ability to do half my health bar from way across the screen for no personal cost is, you know, that's balanced too. Luckily, walls beat magic. And additionally, luckily, mages tend to be really shit in a 1v1, and we are about to get a nice little 1v1 with this mage here. So I'm down to 4 Estus when we start fighting this mage. And when this mage dies, I wonder how many Estus we'll be at. Poke. Slash. Poke. Poke. Oh, we are now at 5 Estus when the mage died. You're right. His incredible ability to do insane amounts of damage to us from all the way across the screen was totally balanced, and the fact that he sucked in the 1v1, you know, didn't really play a part in it. This other mage here is also extremely laggy. Some of the instances, I cut out most of it, but it was just ridiculous. He was hitting me from absurd distances away. After I managed to remove the blue, me and the other Aldrich basically chased down the host and tried to gank him until our co-invader died to Lloyd's sword ring, exile Greatsword man. I think Lloyd's sword ring is for the most part a pretty fine mechanic. The one change that I think is a real necessity is making it not affect projectiles, because that essentially just makes it a ganker tool. Mages get an extra 20% damage or whatever in PvP for free. Utterly no reason at all. And because they're never going to get hit, so I mean, Lloyd's sword is just free damage for them. All at the cost of what, 1 ring slot? They don't need any, they have so many ring slots available, it's not even funny. So anyway, I think if Lloyd's sword ring just didn't affect projectiles and was only melee, it would be a much better mechanic. This host was just impossible to roll catch. Finally managed to gank his laggy ass into oblivion, and probably didn't deserve the point down, but at that point I was severely irked. This clip doesn't even have any sort of actual interesting or good content, it's just kind of hilarious. I'm pretty sure this host was running New Game +7 Ringed City, because Herald Knights do a lot of damage here, apparently. This blue is pretty good. He's parrying the Herald Knights, and we have a bit of a extended bout. And he actually reaction rolls pretty well. I mean, there's some level of panic rolling involved, but frankly, he's getting faced with a Herald Knight and me, so don't really blame him in the slightest for that. And additionally, as shown by the fact that I was able to interrupt him earlier on his Ultra Great Hammer, we have a pretty good connection as well, so that's a person who I probably would have enjoyed to fight in a 1v1 as well. But, Herald Knight's OP. Everybody fucking dies. Herald Knights, I love you and hate you. Alright, last invasion in this video. Last clip. Got a couple things I want to cover in this invasion. You saw soothing sunlight go off in the background at the very first second of this invasion. So I'd like to first give a shout out to the Reddit user who told me that it wasn't even overpowered in the tiniest bit in the gank. And just Hornet backstab it, bro. Super easy. You can always Hornet backstab something. And then beyond that, I wanted to talk about adaptation. The concept of switching what your build can do on the fly. Adapting to the tactics that your opponent has presented you with, and choosing a more optimal course of action. So for instance, I start out this invasion using a Chaos Claymore, but I swap to a Dark one because I'm presented with a Black Knight Shield, and I need to be able to chip through that to some degree, and a Chaos Claymore won't get me there. You can swap from Chaos to Dark even based on build type, which is what I would usually recommend. If someone is using 66 Strength Lados, you should probably not be using a Chaos weapon against them, because they will have all the fire resistance in the world. And if someone is using 60 Faith Dark Moon Blade, you should probably not be using a dark weapon against them, because they'll have all the dark resistance in the world. Here we see they're going up there and decide to try and plunge on this guy. Unfortunately, the trade doesn't really work out because we trade 1 plunge attack for 2. But anyway, panic rolling saves the day once again. Panic rolling and a blessed cestus. So anyway, just don't be afraid to change what you've got going for you at the moment. We'll see this later when I have swapped to light roll straight sword. I have decided I am no longer going to try and pressure this party into death. I am going to try and win the war of attrition. I'm going to try and out-Estus, out-heal them as I slowly whittle them down. Phantom there is doing something clever by using Lightning Storm, so that killing the Adjudicator is essentially free for them. Even miracles like Lightning Storm, which are AoE spells, are still disgustingly effective in a gank. Very hard to deal with. Nice parry. This genius just basically testing out his parry button. For crying out loud. Here I do not realize that the blue has swapped from his edgy weeaboo katana to the Theron, and therefore I get a bit blendered for it. But again, fast roll is one thing that will really help me escape the Theron. You basically can't reaction roll a Theron Greatsword because of the dagger hitbox. So, unless you are light rolling, and then you can basically panic roll away and still profit. Phantom is spamming splintering bolts like no tomorrow. Incredibly annoying, the frame rate cannon, because every single time he shoots it, the frame rate dips by about 4 FPS. Anyway, he's content to simply provide ranged support, and it doesn't do a lot of damage, but at the same time, when you have 99 splintering bolts, it's, you don't have to do a lot of damage, you can just do a little bit at a time. Finally, he fucks off, and I can get a bit of an extended 1v1 with this blue. I'm spamming R1, because I don't want him to R1 out of stunlock and trade with me, so I just go the safe route, and as long as he keeps on rolling into me, then I'm just going to keep on profiting off of it. Here, I basically start abusing the fact that the second R1 on a straight sword roll catches like no tomorrow for whatever reason. Just because something is poorly designed and kind of unbalanced doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it. If you're going to get hit by it, you should be able to hit other people with it too. And always we are focusing on regen and survivability overall, trying to outlast the party overall. However, what ends up winning us this invasion is not regen, it's not playing passive. It's the Phantoms leaving their host alone for even a few seconds against a Ring Knight and a Dark Lothric Knight sword. And they are not happy. Thanks for watching, y'all.